podcast. I'm your host, Rainbow Tomes, and in every episode we'll explore how grief touches our lives, at home, at work and beyond. Today's guest is Jane Barry, Managing Director at Liberty Recruitment Group. Hi Jane.
Hi Rainbow, hello.
Welcome. What brings you to our conversation today?
Well, obviously you kindly invited me to talk about grief, and there were a few conversations that went through my head at the time thinking, you know, we've all had experience of grief, but I've sort of come to the realisation that being in HR for so many years, you experience a lot of grief
So
through your
much,
team, or personally obviously, but your team, supporting people. And it's not just a grief of a human, it's a grief of an animal, it's a grief. And I think what's been really interesting is the last few years, I think everyone in our team has experienced grief. So that's been a challenge, but also it's been nice that everyone around are around each other to support, which has been good. I lost my mum 2 years ago through frontal lobe dementia, and she died in the November, and Kim's dad was ill at the same time with cancer of the face, and he passed away a couple of months after. So we really helped each other, which was so. Now I look back, at the time we kept saying, oh God, thank God you're at the same stage, because then you don't feel guilty sort of going home early or feeling upset and not feeling in the business that day. But once that was all unfortunately both passed, we were like, God, thank God we were together. And Beth, during COVID, she lost her grandma. You know, she's recently lost her dog. And again, we all really support each other, and I think that's incredibly enlightening afterwards. But interestingly, you had somebody here talking about grief recently on animals. Yeah. And I was saying to my husband, Den, this year I've really struggled with grief, but for a different reason. And that's been, I've had an ADHD diagnosis, which my husband said that he's known forever, that I've had ADHD. I've always been, you know, sort of exhibiting signs of ADHD. But actually getting the diagnosis really hit me. I felt really liberated. I'm using that word again, but I also then, after all of the sort of euphoria of finding out and understanding, oh, that's why I do that.
Everything
and once I do
sense.
that, yeah, absolutely, Rainbow, making sense. Then after then, I was starting to think, oh my God, I feel really sad. And it culminated. I went to a festival in May with loads of friends, and I came down to breakfast. There was about 15 of us, and we were just talking about something, and somebody asked me something. I just started crying. And some of those people have known me 40 years and have hardly ever seen me cry. And it all came out. I just felt sad for what I'd possibly done wrong, the grief of what I could have done better, how maybe I would have not walked away from people. One of the things that I'm really intense, I think, about sometimes is lies. If I think people have lied to me, my mum used to say the phrase, you lie, if I found somebody had lied to me, she said, as soon as somebody's lied to you, you're out. And I don't think I really understood that as much until the ADHD diagnosis. And I think that it's enabled me to look back and think, that's why I reacted. I think, you know, the rejection syndrome disorder, is it?
Yeah, right.
That's something that now, with a different lens, I'm thinking, yeah, I've had that all my life. And now I understand it. But I think as a child, I think as little girls, we were always told, be quiet, you're a bit too much, calm down.
Yes.
We've had that all our lives probably. And then I always thought that was because I had a mentally abusive father who used to never talk to me. I wasn't allowed to speak to him. So I used to think that's because I was too much.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you recognise, well, no, he had the problem, but that's the grief.
But that's really difficult, isn't it? Because as a child, it's really common to kind of go, oh, it's my fault, it must be me. So to not have that understanding, and then to be kind of living with undiagnosed ADHD, having that difference, but not really knowing it, not really understanding the meaning of it.
Yeah.
All of those years without that understanding.
Yeah, and then suddenly get validation.
Right. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, you're dead right.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people don't understand how powerful that confirmation can be.
Absolutely.
That recognition.
Yeah. Because I also didn't want to talk about it to many people because there's so much negativity.
Yeah.
You know, through politicians now, through various other sort of avenues, talking about is it being overdiagnosed? People really got ADHD. But when you look at the science and the metrics, absolutely the diagnosis has just been missing.
Yeah.
And now it's coming, but it's coming in waves and people are like, whoa.
And how you know, we're sort of thinking about what is helpful when someone is grieving, or what is helpful to someone at work. And, you know, going through that diagnosis process is not easy by any means. And then to hear messages of overdiagnosed when you've, you know, just recently been through that process yourself so you're grieving, you're receiving these negative messages.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It is. Yeah, it's a funny old situation, isn't it? But I do think the grief that you go through is a real natural process, because I've heard it since. I don't know if you have, Rainbow, but I've heard lots of people who've had the diagnosis have gone through grief.
Yeah.
You know, they've had the validation, they've had the liberation, and then the grief comes. But I think what's been helping me, I mean, Den is just amazing in the way that he, you know, sort of says, well, you know, you've had this, however, through all of that, you've been successful in business. You know, you've been in HR 30 years. You've gone up to HR director, you know, and you founded your own business plus run another's. And if you didn't have ADHD, maybe you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, right, the strengths.
Yeah.
So what would you say are those strengths for you? I mean,
I think sometimes the strengths are sometimes the weaknesses.
Okay.
So, for example, I think that I go along in life and I don't pick up some things. And other ways, I'm really emotionally intelligent. So I take people face value.
Yeah.
Sometimes I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'd rather go to my grave being
Trusting
or somebody who's, But then I also think that my focus, my drive, you know, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am now, because, you know, I can be quite intense, I can get things done. But also, you know, when I was a kid, I was about 21, my first real proper job. And my manager told somebody it was in a hospital that I was very black and white. It came back to me, and I remember being devastated by that. One, that somebody could talk behind my back, because I felt the trust had gone.
Yeah.
But now I look back with this, you know, it's different eyes, you know. And the second thing, that I was so black and white, I thought, oh, I'm not black and white. But when I look back, of course I was black and white. I've always been black and white. And now I've got more grey matter around, and grey matter up there and grey vision, you know.
And I think this is the, you know, the challenge is that some of, you know, what we're talking about, there are, like, some of these things are really helpful, you know, especially in decision making. Are we going to do it or are we not? Like, you know, especially in your role as a managing director, you need that kind of decisiveness of what are we going to do and things like that. So it's really tricky. And there's so many layers to this, isn't there, in terms of, like, not having that honesty just to come and say to you, like, rather than doing that behind your back and then it getting back to you. And so what would have been more helpful, do you think, looking back now
Yeah.
and thinking about yourself that was undiagnosed? What do you think you needed? I mean, sounds like more dens, right?
Yeah. Everyone needs a den.
Right.
Yeah. I think if only we had more people out there with the recognition of how ADHD sort of shows up, you know, because nowadays we're not, the trajectory's going up with diagnosis, and also the trajectory's going up with people being supportive and understanding. And now people say, oh, has that person got ADHD? I mean, now we might be sort of misdiagnosing and all sorts. However, I think if you can't see it, you can't be it. As you know, a lot of people say with sort of colour, with everything, disability, you know. So I do think that we're lucky that it's just getting out there. And I think you're right. I think support, I think if I'd known what certain areas of ADHD presented as, I think I would have just been obviously more aware, and maybe I would have changed things. But hindsight's a great thing, isn't it, Rainbow?
Yeah.
You don't know, do you? But I think support.
It's that awareness, isn't it? It's that understanding yourself, which can create certainty. And I think it's, you know, living with ADHD, certainty is so important. So to kind of go, oh, okay, this is why I'm responding in this way. And it might be, I don't want to change my response, but I now understand why I'm responding in this way. So
that's
I guess it gives you
definitely
choice,
RSD.
doesn't it?
It does.
And that's what you don't have without that knowledge, you know, without that confirmation.
Definitely. Because also there's been a few things since. So the main diagnosis took quite a while, but they were incredible, these people I worked with. And it was at the end of the summer. And since the end of the summer, I've had a couple of challenges. You know, we all have challenges. And often I would ruminate. I'd go to bed, I couldn't sleep. Now I really do sort of recognise what's going on. I'm recognising I'm spiralling.
Yeah.
I'm starting to panic about stuff and thinking, I don't get that. And now I just lay down in bed and I mindfully breathe. I know it sounds very trivial.
Great. So you
but
breathe, you
you
breath
breathe.
work,
The breath work has just been so important. And it makes you forget the loop, that continual loop. Could I have done that? How could I have avoided that? What could I have done?
Yeah.
Just relax. And I think even that, say it's small, but it's quite significant.
Huge. Where's your nervous system?
It is.
So
And especially the studies now on, you know, your gut and your brain. But if I'd known that then, I think I would have avoided many sleepless nights.
Right. Wow.
You
and
know?
there's grief in that.
Yeah.
Like grieving.
Absolutely.
Because trying to operate with minimal sleep.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, the whole thing about grief, you know, about support and everything, with diagnosis of anything, you know, if it's cancer, if it's anything, there's got to be a grieving process, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I do think that if somebody knows something, they're bound to either wish for the past or wish for the future. However it is, grief turns up in all different sorts of ways. And I think those that have had diagnosis of anything can get grief, can't they?
Yeah. So if there were, like, because you've talked about grief in so many different aspects today.
Yeah,
so,
sorry.
No, it's great. It's like
I could talk forever on grief.
It's amazing.
Or
It's that perspective of being a managing director and like, how do I look after my team? But then there's your own grief and, you know, with your mother dying and then ADHD diagnosis. And they're all very different.
Yeah.
But is there a way, you know, because I'm just thinking of the leaders that are kind of listening to this and thinking, oh my goodness, like we need to think about pet loss. We need to think about, you know, late diagnosis. But for you as a leader, are there some simple things that people can do if they're listening to this to help their teams, to help their...
I think a member of the team and I had a conversation yesterday about something, and what I wanted to find out from her, she's going through certain things in her life, is what could I do? Not just what I could do, but what could we do as a team?
Yeah.
And whether we can make her life easier. You know, we don't want to take work away unless she wants it away. You know, we talked about various ways of helping her. So I think that as a leader, you have really got to be there. It's the whole, you know, psychological contract with HR, the Maslow hierarchy. You know, it's that security, the safety of being with people. And I think as long as you can provide that and you can enable people to feel that if they're not happy, they can vocalise it.
Yes.
They can leave to go home. They can feel as if they're supported and not judged. And I think that is massive. So I think, yeah, I do think as a leader, I might be different to others, but I've definitely, you know, you go through the learning journey throughout your life and you recognise, I could have done that better. You know, when in my 20s, I would have thought, come to work, come on, blah, blah. But nowadays, we're more aware. We grow our personalities, don't we? We grow to what we need to be, really.
Yeah.
And I think that leaders need to, I suppose, be just kind, provide support and provide space. I think that, for me, that's with grief, that's with anyone struggling with, you've got to be there and be seen as somebody who will actually have your back.
Yeah. And what I love about what you said there is like creating these personalised plans.
Yeah.
And that takes the pressure off of the leader to make all these decisions. I need to know what to do. Whereas actually, if I collaborate with that person and we look at it together, what do you need?
Yeah.
Then it takes the pressure off the leader feeling like they've got to have all the answers because you can work that out together.
Yeah.
So it's like a win-win for everyone then, isn't it?
Because no one's got all the answers.
Right. Yeah, we're all trying to work it out.
Yeah.
And so what's next for you then? Because this, you know, I think there's this kind of, often this view that like grief is a done deal, you do it and that's it, you move on. Whereas my personal thought on it is this is something that we sort of carry and it changes over time and we experience it differently. So what's next for you in this kind of recognising this grief, you know, in different experiences that you've had? What's important for you, for your looking after you?
Yeah, I think I feel so much better.
Yeah.
You know, sort of from that ADHD diagnosis. The grief has been gone a bit, really.
Yeah.
I'm not really dwelling on it.
Yeah.
We had Katie Piper as a speaker for our conference recently, our HR conference, and unfortunately I couldn't be there, although it was our conference, unfortunately I couldn't. But one of the things that Dan and the girls from the office came away with is that she said, you know, the past is depression.
Yeah.
The future is anxiety. So you've got to live for now. Yeah. And she talked about grief for her loss of her face, you know, from the acid. But as she said, 2 men did that to her, but subsequently men have put her together.
Right, wow.
And it's that whole thing about, I think with grief, you've got to see where the future could be, but really that may be too much. You just got to be. And whether that's through breath work, you know, various other ways, podcasts, anything that can enable you just to be with it, work through it and understand you'll get through it, but you just need that support of others as well. And I think that's where people are often inclined not to seek advice or seek support because they think that shows weakness. It doesn't, does it?
It just shows we're human, isn't it? That's what we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, I want to improve. You know, we've got to, as human beings, we've got to improve. We've got to see where we can help. We can be kind to others. And it's not just cliches. It's actually, you know, we know what's going on out there with the cost of living, everything that's going on there. So you just think, just enable people, let them sort of grow and develop, and with care. Yeah. And I think when people have got grief, that's all they really need.
Is care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a way to finish our conversation. Thank you so much for
Oh,
coming
thank you,
along.
Rainbow.
It's really great to have you and to talk about such important subjects. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if this episode has resonated with you, please subscribe to our Talking Grief podcast and share it with anyone that you feel might find it helpful. If you need support or resources on grief in the workplace, visit our website at www.thegriefTherapist.co.uk. And thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.